Well, surprise, surprise, and welcome back, bookish thrill seekers, deep dive obsessives, and readers who swear they're sticking to their TBR until a shinier book waltzes in and, ruins everything. This is Spines and Sparks, the only show where books find their perfect reader, whether they're emotionally prepared for the devastation or not. Now, matchmaking isn't for the weak-willed. It requires skill, intuition, and the absolute conviction of an indie bookseller who knows you better than your Goodreads account. You might think you have a plan for what to read next, but let's be honest, your TBR is a lawless land, and I am here to restore order. So today, we're diving in with 3 unsuspecting readers, each with a specific, possibly impossible to please reading identity. My job? To find them the one. The book they didn't know they needed, but now can't live without. I'm Nick, and this is DrCrankyPantsReads presents Spines and Sparks. Stick around, because love at first read is real, and today I'm making it everyone's problem. Before we dive into this literary matchmaking spectacle, let's take a moment to acknowledge the fine folks who made this chaos possible. Aaron from Aaron Read a Book, the brilliant mind behind the original tag. Now, have I taken some liberties? Naturally. But the spirit of matchmaking madness, that's all Aaron. Of course, what started as a tag has since become something bigger, and you know how it goes. You start with a good idea, and then someone, me, comes along, expands the universe, and rewrites the rules, and pulls a full Shonda Rhimes. This is my Bridgerton now. And then we have our 3 readers who, whether they like it or not, are about to be brutally, brilliantly, flawlessly matched with their next great read. Now, for those of you new to Spines and Sparks, let's go over the rules. Not that I'm leaving room for debate, mind you. Each reader has 3 hand-selected contenders, books carefully, expertly, some might say, divinely, chosen to be their one true match. I'll break down each option, build the case, and then, with the certainty of a librarian who has lost patience with your indecisiveness, I will choose for them. Because let's be real, readers hesitate, they overthink, they say things like, oh, maybe I'll wait for the audiobook, or let me check my TBR first. And I simply will not stand for it. So without further ado, let's meet our first contestant and find them their perfect literary soulmate. Because let's be honest, I already know exactly what they need. Allie from A Genteel Black Hole isn't just a reader, they're a literary detective, a deep diver into footnotes, and someone who thrives on stories that unravel with complexity. If a book has layers, theatricality, or an academic undercurrent, you can bet it's already on their radar. Allie loves the intersection of literary analysis, performance, and narrative experimentation. Books that play with form, embrace dramatic tension, and make the reader an active participant in uncovering meaning. But finding the right book for Allie? No, that's where things get interesting. It has to be bold. It has to be intricate. It has to be a book that demands to be read twice. Because only then will its true brilliance fully unfold. So let's not waste any time. The curtain is rising. Let's meet our contenders. Contestant number 1, Shakespeare Was a Woman and Other Heresies by Elizabeth Winkler. Allie, you love an intellectual puzzle, and this book is exactly that. A thrilling, well-researched investigation into one of literature's longest-standing controversies. Who really wrote Shakespeare's plays? Winkler doesn't just present the usual theories. She takes readers through the history of skepticism, examining why some of the greatest minds in history have questioned the bard's authorship. This book isn't about conspiracy. It's about curiosity. It's about the ways we construct literary history and why certain narratives persist even when evidence gets complicated. This book was made for someone who relishes Footnotes, academic inquiry, and untangling literary myths. It's witty, insightful, and will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about the world's most famous playwright. Here's why it's a match. You love deep dives into literature, especially when they question traditional narratives. You appreciate books that blend scholarship with sharp and engaging prose. And let's be honest, if there's a book that demands a follow-up rabbit hole research session, you're in. Now here's contestant number 2, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. Allie, you love theatricality, and this book doesn't just contain drama, it is the drama. Picture this, a group of elite Shakespearean actors at an exclusive conservatory where art and life blur in dangerous ways. When one of them ends up dead, the question isn't just who did it, but how much of the performance was real all along. This book is dripping with dark academia aesthetics, intense literary discussions, and characters who live and breathe Shakespeare. But more than that, it's structured like a play, mirroring the very works the characters perform. Every act, every scene is deliberate. And just like a good stage performance, every detail matters. This is a book for readers who love textual interplay, narrative tension, and books that demand re-examination. So if you've ever argued about which Shakespearean tragedy is the most devastating, spoiler, they're all devastating. This is the novel that will have you scribbling notes in the margins and itching to discuss every last motif. Here's why it's a match. You love books that weave literary analysis into their storytelling. Shakespearean references? Check. Dramatic tension? Double check. It's a novel you'll want to reread because the second time around, you'll catch everything you missed the first time. And now for contestant number 3, I Was Better Last Night by Harvey Fierstein. Allie, you don't just love books, you love books with voice, and there is no voice in the theater world quite like Harvey Fierstein's. This memoir is a love letter to the stage, to reinvention, to storytelling, and to living unapologetically. Fierstein takes us from his Brooklyn childhood to the lights of Broadway, recounting his time as a playwright, actor, and LGBTQ plus icon with his signature wit, charm, and theatrical flourish. It's as much about his personal journey as it is about the evolution of theater itself, perfect for a reader who sees how the creative world is shaped, reshaped, and performed over time. And let's be real, if anyone knows how to hold an audience captive, it's Fierstein. His voice practically leaps off the page. This isn't just a memoir, it's a one-person show in book form with enough heart, humor, and history to keep you utterly engrossed. Here's why it's a match. You love books with distinct, magnetic voices, and Harvey's is unmatched. It blends personal memoir with theater history, offering both entertainment and insight. And quite honestly, it's laugh-out-loud funny, deeply moving, and a absolute masterclass in storytelling. And the perfect match for Allie is If We Were Villains. Look, this was a tight race, but Allie, you need a book that lives and breathes drama, one that pulls apart literature while also reveling in it. And If We Were Villains delivers that in spades. It's smart, it's layered, it's a book that practically begs to be dissected and debated. And let's be real, If We Were Villains is the literary equivalent of an intense, dimly lit conversation at a cast party where someone insists that King Lear is underrated. They're wrong, but you let them have their moment. Allie, may your bookshelves always be filled with footnotes, theatrical intrigue, and just the right amount of literary chaos. Heather from Heather Reads is not here for the YouTube treadmill. There are no hauls, no TBRs, no speed reading marathons. Instead, we get deep, methodical engagement, the kind of close reading that requires a marginalia strategy, an annotated bibliography, and ideally, a JSTOR subscription. Heather doesn't just read books, she dissects them. She pulls them apart, traces their literary lineage, and then probably rereads them just to make sure she didn't miss anything. So what do you recommend to a reader who's already operating at a level most booktubers fear to tread? We need books that demand engagement, books that refuse to be skimmed, books that don't just sit on the shelf but loom over it like a philosophical monolith. Heather, we've found your next obsession. 3 books that will test your patience, challenge your intellect, and absolutely wreak havoc on your note-taking system. Contestant number 1, The Emigrants by W.G. Sebald. Heather, imagine a book that isn't just a novel, but a literary excavation, a meditation on history, memory, and the strange ways in which personal narratives dissolve into collective history. That's what you get with The Emigrants. At first glance, The Emigrants appears to be a quiet, melancholic account of 4 lives shaped by exile. But in true Sebaldian fashion, what unfolds is something far richer and more unsettling. A book where fiction, memoir, and archival photography blur, where details build like sediment, layering into something profound and unshakable. This is literary archaeology at its finest, fragmented, intricate, and quietly devastating. It thrives on footnotes, intertextuality, and historical asides, a book that practically begs for a secondary reading list. Sebald's prose is immersive, meditative, and the antithesis of fast reading. Here's why it's a standout. Because if you love books that reward slow reading and close analysis, The Emigrants will give you plenty to unpack. This is history as a haunting, subtle, profound, and beautifully disorienting. Contestant number 2, The Order of Things by Michel Foucault. Heather, you don't just read books, you interrogate them. And if you want a book that will push your instinct to its absolute limit, Foucault is here to dismantle everything you thought you knew about knowledge itself. Here's the setup. In The Order of Things, Foucault takes a scalpel to the way we categorize knowledge. Science, literature, philosophy. None of it is as objective as we would like to believe. Through deep historical analysis, he argues that our entire understanding of the world is shaped by hidden structures, power systems, and the limitations of language itself. Here's why it's your perfect fit. If you've ever paused mid-read to question how knowledge is structured and why certain narratives dominate, this book is for you. It's a slow, immersive, intellectual challenge, a book meant to be read with a pencil in one hand and a separate notebook in the other. Foucault doesn't just provide ideas, he forces you to reshape the way you read everything else. It's rigorous, philosophical, and designed for readers who want books that make them work. If you're looking for something that will permanently alter the way you engage with texts, The Order of Things is the book to beat. Contestant number 3 is Hopscotch by Julio Cortázar. Heather, you appreciate structure, but what if I told you structure was entirely optional? Or better yet, you could build your own. Enter Hopscotch, a novel that dares you to decide how it should be read. Hopscotch is broken into 2 parts, one that can be read traditionally from front to back, and one that can be hopscotched through an alternate, non-linear sequence. The story follows Horatio Oliveira, an Argentine intellectual wandering through Paris, caught between existential questions and the disarray of his own mind. This book plays with form and function. You're not just reading, you're interacting. It's filled with literary experiments, philosophical musings, and deep existential inquiry. If you like books that challenge the very act of reading itself, Hopscotch will feel like an irresistible intellectual puzzle. It's literature as a game, a text that refuses to sit still. And if you love books that push boundaries, Hopscotch will leave you questioning everything you thought a novel could be. And the perfect match for Heather is The Order of Things. Heather, you love books that don't just make you think, they force you to rewire the way you process information altogether. This isn't just a reading, it's intellectual combat. The Order of Things is a book that will reshape the way you understand history, literature, and the foundation of knowledge. It's the kind of book that doesn't just sit on your shelf, it permanently alters your worldview. And let's be real, if anyone is up for the challenge, it's you. May your bookshelves always be stacked with intellectual labyrinths, your annotations always spiral into new discoveries, and your next great read always demand nothing less than your full attention. Let's move on to contestant number 3, who's Reney from Beyond Books. Reney, you read across Book of the Month and beyond, but today we're making sure your next book is as compelling as Raina's favorite snack. We found 3 books that are gripping, immersive, and absolutely demand to be on your TBR. Reney is a reader who loves contemporary fiction with depth, character-driven storytelling, and a touch of suspense. She's a thoughtful reader, an early release enthusiast, and a champion of banned books, making sure that her reading choices go beyond the hype and into meaningful conversations. But here's the challenge. Reney's already read a lot. You can't just throw in the latest trending mystery or a standard literary pick. No, we need books that stick with you, books that demand discussion, books that push a little past comfort zones while still delivering everything she loves in a story. So Reney, let's talk about 3 books that will absolutely wreck your emotions, keep you flipping pages, and make you glad you picked them up. Contestant number 1 is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. Reney, imagine a book that starts with a disappearance and then unfolds into a lifetime of longing, grief, and rediscovery. That's The Berry Pickers, a novel that's both a mystery and a deeply moving literary novel, making it a perfect crossover between your love for thrillers and character-driven fiction. Set in 1962, a 4-year-old Indigenous girl vanishes from the woods while her family picks berries in Maine. Her brother never stops looking for her, even as their family fractures under the weight of loss. Decades later, another young woman begins to unravel the mystery of her own past. This book isn't just about the mystery, it's about the people left behind. It's emotional, immersive, and deeply reflective, perfect for your reading style. If you love books that unfold across decades, weaving history with personal tragedy, this is the kind of story that lingers long after the final page. The Berry Pickers explores identity, loss, and resilience, themes that always make for powerful reading experiences. This is for those readers who want more than just a mystery. They want a book that aches. If you loved a book like Razorblade Tears for its emotional weight, but want something with a quieter, more literary, less explosive depth, The Berry Pickers delivers. Contestant number 2, The Last One by Will Dean. Reney, what if I told you that you wake up on a luxury cruise ship and everyone is gone? No passengers, no crew, no explanation. That's the terrifying premise of The Last One, a high-concept thriller that keeps you guessing at every turn. Kaz and her boyfriend board an exclusive cruise for an influencer event. Think decadence, luxury, and social media excess. When Kaz wakes up one morning, she's the only person left on board. As she struggles to understand what happened, the ship keeps sailing, and the deeper she explores, the more disturbing the truth becomes. Reney, you love gripping thrillers with high stakes, and this one builds suspense masterfully while keeping the psychological tension tight. The premise is both claustrophobic, but also cinematic. Perfect for a thriller that reads like an unput-downable page-turner. If you enjoyed the edge-of-your-seat tension in books like None of This Is True, The Last One is absolutely in your wheelhouse. This is for fans of intelligent thrillers that toy with perception, isolation, and survival. The mystery is layered, the pacing is relentless, and by the end, you'll question everything you thought you knew. Contestant number 3 is Go as a River by Shelley Reed. Reney, I know you love deeply evocative, character-driven fiction, so let's talk about Go as a River, a novel so beautifully written, it will ruin you in the best possible way. Set in 1940s Colorado, this novel follows Victoria Nash, a young woman whose life is forever altered after a chance meeting with a drifter. As she navigates love, loss, and the shifting tides of history, she's forced to make impossible choices that shape the rest of her life. Reney, this book is perfect for fans of richly atmospheric, historical fiction with unforgettable protagonists. It blends gorgeous prose, an emotional coming-of-age story, and the raw beauty of the natural world. If you love the lyrical writing and emotional depth of The Four Winds or Demon Copperhead, Go as a River will absolutely speak to you. It's not just historical fiction. It's an emotional journey. If you want a novel that wraps you in a world so vivid you can feel the Colorado dust beneath your feet, this is the one. And the perfect match for Reney is The Berry Pickers. Reney, you love books that pull you in with a strong emotional core, build complex relationships, and leave you thinking long after the last page. The Berry Pickers is part mystery, part literary fiction, and entirely unforgettable. It has everything: family secrets, decades of unresolved grief, and a slow-burning unraveling of truth that keeps you completely invested. And honestly, this book is just waiting to be one of those I need to talk about this right now reads. So go ahead, clear a spot on your bookshelf and get ready for a book that's going to sit in your heart for a long time. May your TBR always be stacked, your thrillers always be twisty, and your literary reads always cut deep. Happy reading, Reney. And just like that, another episode, another round of readers expertly nudged toward their next great read. Now, you have two choices. You can accept your literary fate, pick up the book, and let it completely consume you. Or you can fight it, hesitate, tell yourself you'll get to it eventually. But we both know how this ends. So, go forth, read, get wrecked, in a reading kind of way. And when you inevitably realize I was right, you know where to find me.
And if you dare disagree, the comments are open. I'll be watching.
Until next time, I appreciate you, and I hope life is good.